Captain Ho stood on the bridge of his patrol ship and watched the stars. He had done this for 20 years. The darkness of space no longer scared him. It felt like home. His ship, the Pride, was small. It carried only 40 crew members. Their job was simple. They watched the borders of human space and reported anything strange. Nothing exciting ever happened. Ho liked it that way. "Captain," said Lieutenant Park from her station, "I am picking up something strange." Ho turned to look at her. Was young, only 28 years old, but she was the best tactical officer he had ever worked with. Her eyes were sharp and her mind was sharper. "What do you see?" he asked. Multiple signatures coming out of hyperspace. Her fingers moved fast across her controls. 30 ships. No, wait, more are coming. 50, 70. Ho felt something cold in his stomach. Identification. Went silent for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was different. It was the voice of someone who could not believe what they were seeing. "Dominion, full battle fleet. Captain, there are now 200 warships in the system." The bridge went quiet. Every crew member stopped moving. They all knew about everyone in the galaxy knew about them. They were old. They were powerful. They believed that younger species were dangerous and needed to be controlled. Humans had always been careful around them. "Open a communication channel," Ho ordered. "All frequencies." "Channel open, sir." "This is Captain Ho of the United Earth Vessel's Pride. You have entered human territory without permission. Please state your intentions." The silence stretched for 10 long seconds, then 20, then 30. "No response," Captain said. Ho looked at the main screen. The ships were moving into formation. It was not a diplomatic formation. It was not even a defensive formation. It was the formation of a fleet preparing to attack. "Get me a connection to New Colony," Ho said. His voice was calm, but his heart was beating fast. Now. New was the largest human settlement in this sector. It sat on the planet 4, a beautiful world with green forests and blue oceans. 2.3 million people lived there. Families, children, farmers and teachers and doctors. It was a peaceful place. The face of Governor O appeared on the screen. He was an older man with tired eyes and a gentle smile. "Captain Ho, what can I do for you today?" "Governor, you need to begin emergency evacuation immediately. There is a battle fleet in the system." The smile disappeared from his face. "How many ships?" "Over 200. They are not responding to communication." Closed his eyes for just a moment. When he opened them, Ho saw something he had never seen in the old man before. It was fear, real fear. "We only have 12 transport ships," said quietly. "We cannot evacuate everyone. We cannot even evacuate 10%. "Then evacuate who you can. I will try to buy you time." Shook his head slowly. "Captain, your ship is a patrol vessel. What can you possibly do against 200 warships?" Ho did not have an answer for that. He had no weapons that could hurt a battleship. He had no shields that could stop their attacks. All he had was one small ship and 40 brave souls. "Just start the evacuation, Governor, please." The first weapons fired before could respond. They were not aimed at the Pride. They were aimed at New. Ho watched the screen in horror. Bright lines of fire fell from the sky and struck the planet below. Each line was a weapon designed to burn cities. Each line killed thousands of people in an instant. "No," whispered. Her hand covered her mouth. Tears were already forming in her eyes. The bombardment lasted for 3 hours. 3 hours of fire falling from the heavens. 3 hours of cities turning to ash. 3 hours of millions of voices screaming and then going silent. Ho stood frozen on his bridge. He could not move. He could not speak. He could only watch as everything he had sworn to protect was destroyed. The fleet never acknowledged his messages. They never explained why they had come. They simply killed everyone on the planet and then turned to leave. "Captain," said, her voice was broken, "they are sending a message now to us. Play it. A face appeared on the screen. It was long and with 4 black eyes that held no emotion. When it spoke, its voice was cold and empty. Let this be a lesson to your kind. The Dominion does not tolerate threats. Your species grew too fast. You spread too far. We have removed this threat before it could become dangerous. Go back to your. Tell them what you saw. Tell them to never expand again, or this will happen to every human colony in the galaxy. The message ended. The fleet jumped into hyperspace and disappeared. Ho finally moved. He walked slowly to the center of the bridge and looked at his crew. They were crying, all of them, hardened soldiers and young officers alike. The tears fell freely down their faces. Record everything, Ho said. His voice was quiet but steady. Every scan, every image, every piece of data, the galaxy will see what happened here today. Captain asked, "What do we do now?" Ho looked at the planet one last time. Where there had once been green forests, there was only black ash. Where there had once been blue oceans, there was only steam rising into a poisoned sky. 2.3 million people had lived there this morning. Now there was nothing. "We go home," he said. "We go home and we show them what was done to us." 2 weeks later, Ho stood in the Great Hall of the United Earth Council. Every leader of humanity was present. Billions more watched through screens across 100 worlds. He played the recording, the whole terrible thing from the first weapons fire to the final message. When it ended, the hall was silent. No one moved, no one breathed. Admiral Sun stood up slowly. He was an old man, respected by everyone who knew him. He had fought in 3 wars and won them all. He was known for his patience and his wisdom. But today his eyes were different. Today there was something dark and cold in them. "For 200 years, he said, humanity has tried to be peaceful. We have tried to be good neighbors in this galaxy. We have avoided conflict. We have offered friendship to every species we met. And this is how we are repaid, with the blood of 2 million innocent people." He paused and looked around the room. Every eye was on him. "They wanted us to be afraid. They wanted us to hide on our and never grow again. They believe they have broken us." His hands curled into fists at his sides. "They are wrong. They have not broken us. They have awakened something. Something that has slept inside humanity since the first human picked up a stone and decided to fight back against a cruel world." He turned to face the screen, where the image of the burning planet still glowed. "They wanted us to be monsters. Perhaps it is time we showed them what monsters truly look like." The hall erupted in a roar of voices, not of fear, not of despair, but of something else entirely, something that had not been heard in human space for 200 years. It was the sound of humanity preparing for war. 3 months passed after the burning of Nu. The galaxy waited for humanity to do something. They expected screaming. They expected threats. They expected desperate attacks from angry survivors. Instead, they got silence. The Dominion celebrated their victory. In their capital city, crowds filled the streets to honor their brave fleet commanders. They had removed a growing threat. They had taught the young humans their place in the galaxy. The Supreme Hierarch himself gave speeches about the wisdom of acting early against dangerous species. "Humans are like weeds," he told his people. "If you let them grow, they will take over everything. We pulled out the weed before it could spread. The galaxy is safer now." Other species in the galaxy watched and said nothing. Some agreed with others thought the massacre was wrong but were too afraid to speak against such a powerful empire. A few felt sorry for the humans but believed nothing could be done. The collective, a peaceful species known for their trading networks, sent a private message to Earth. "We are sorry for your loss. What are you planning to do?" Earth did not reply. Ambassador attended the next meeting of the Galactic Council. She was a tall woman with hair and calm eyes. She had represented humanity for 15 years. Everyone knew her as patient and reasonable. Today, she looked exactly the same as always. calm, professional, controlled. The representative, a diplomat named, stood to speak. He was proud and confident. His 4 black eyes swept across the council chamber. "The Dominion has done what needed to be done," he announced. "Humans were expanding too quickly. They built colonies everywhere. They like insects. If we had waited another century, they would have been impossible to stop. We acted to protect the stability of the galaxy." "Said nothing. Some may call our actions harsh," continued, "but history will remember us as protectors. We removed a threat before it could become a disaster. The loss of one colony is a small price to pay for galactic peace." Still said nothing. She simply sat in her seat, hands folded on the table in front of her. Her face showed no emotion at all. Looked directly at her. "Does the human representative have anything to say?" Every eye in the chamber turned too. The silence stretched for a long moment, then stood up slowly. She looked at the other representatives. Then she turned and walked out of the chamber without speaking a single word. The council members looked at each other in confusion. What did this mean? Was humanity accepting defeat? Were they too broken to even respond? Only Elder of the collective felt something different. He watched Leave and felt a chill run down his spine. He had seen that look before. It was the look of someone who had nothing left to say because actions would speak louder than any words. Back on Earth, something was happening that no alien sensor could detect. In a secret facility buried deep under the mountains of Old Korea, Dr. Min worked without rest. She was a small woman with messy hair and tired eyes. She had not slept more than 4 hours a night in 3 months. None of her team had. The project they worked on was called Hammer. It had been theoretical for decades. Scientists had talked about it, written papers about it, and then put it away because it was too dangerous to build. Now, the United Earth Council had given them unlimited resources and one simple order: make it work. "Doctor," said her assistant, a young man named One, "the final calculations are complete. It works." Min looked at the data on her screen. Project Hammer was a weapon that could destabilize stars. One device, properly placed, could make a sun explode. It could destroy entire solar systems. It was the most terrible weapon ever created by human hands. "Are we sure about this?" One asked quietly. "Once we build this, there is no going back." Min thought about New. She thought about the 2.3 million people who had been burned alive simply for existing. She thought about the diplomat calling them weeds that needed to be pulled. "Send the data to General No," she said. "Tell him Hammer is ready." General No One was the head of United Earth Military Command. He was a hard man with cold eyes and a reputation for being ruthless. Some people called him cruel. He preferred to think of himself as practical. For 3 months, he had coordinated the largest military buildup in human history. Every factory on every human world worked around the clock. Every shipyard built vessels as fast as possible. Every mine extracted ore without stopping. The key was secrecy. Human engineers had found a way to hide their ships from galactic sensors. They believed they had broken humanity. They believed humans were cowering on their remaining worlds, afraid to act. They did not know that 4,000 warships were being built in hidden locations across human space. One looked at the reports coming in from every sector. Ships were being armed. Soldiers were being trained. Weapons were being manufactured. Everything was on schedule. His communication screen lit up with an incoming message from Doctor. He read the report about Project Hammer and allowed himself a small, cold smile. "Now we have teeth," he said to himself. Meanwhile, the galactic community continued to misunderstand human silence. They sent intelligence agents to spy on human worlds. They reported back that humans seemed depressed and defeated. Factories were quiet. Military bases looked empty. There were no signs of any buildup. "They have accepted their fate," reported to the Supreme Hierarch. "They are beaten. We have nothing to worry about." The hierarch nodded with satisfaction. "Good. Let them sit in their fear. Perhaps in a few generations they will learn to be proper servants of greater species." Elder was not so sure. His traders had noticed something strange. Certain resources were disappearing from the market: metals, rare elements, components used in shipbuilding. Where was it all going? He sent another message to Earth. "We have noticed unusual resource movements. Are you preparing something? Please talk to us. We want to help." Again, Earth did not reply. Ambassador returned to the Galactic Council for the next meeting. Again, she said nothing. She simply sat, listened, and left. She did this for 3 months, never speaking, never reacting, just watching with those calm, patient eyes. Some council members began to feel uncomfortable. There was something wrong about her silence. It felt like the quiet before a storm. On the last day of the 3rd month, finally spoke, but she did not speak to the council. She spoke to her assistant after the meeting ended. "Send a message to Admiral," she said. "Tell him I have finished gathering intelligence. I know where their fleets are stationed. I know their patrol routes. I know their weak points. We are ready." Her assistant nodded and left to send the message. That night, in hangars hidden across human space, 4,000 warships powered up their engines for the first time. They were sleek and black, built for speed and destruction. Each one carried weapons that had never been seen in galactic warfare before. Admiral stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Soul's Vengeance. He looked at the fleet assembled around him and felt something he had not felt since New Burned. Hope, but not hope for peace, hope for justice. He opened a channel to all ships. "Today, we begin our answer to what was done to us. For 3 months we have been silent. We have let them think we were broken. We have let them believe their lies about us. Now the silence ends." He paused and thought about the dead, all 2.3 million of them. "They called us weeds," he said. "They burned our people like they were nothing. They told us to accept our place as lesser beings. But they forgot one thing about humans: we do not break, we do not surrender, and we never ever forget." Around him, 4,000 ships hummed with power, ready to move at his command. "The wanted monsters," said. "Let us go show them what they created." The fleet jumped into hyperspace, vanishing from human space without a trace. The galaxy still thought humanity was defeated. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Prime was a fortress. It was the largest military base on the border, home to 300 warships and 2 million soldiers. They had spent centuries making it impossible to attack. They believed no enemy fleet could ever break through its defenses. High Arbiter commanded the fortress. He was old even by standards, with skin that had turned almost white with age. He had won 12 wars in his long life. He feared nothing. When his sensors detected human ships emerging from hyperspace, he laughed. "How many?" he asked his officers. 800 ships, High Arbiter." Laughed again. 800 against Prime. The humans have gone mad with grief. This will be over quickly." He ordered his fleet to attack formation. 300 warships moved into position, their weapons charging. Expected an easy victory. He expected the humans to break and run as soon as they saw his superior force. He did not expect what happened next. Commander I Am Sung-Ho stood on the bridge of his attack cruiser, watching the fleet arrange itself. He was young for a fleet commander, only 35 years old. Some officers had questioned his promotion. Admiral had silenced them with a single sentence: "He has the mind of a hunter and the heart of a warrior. He will do what needs to be done." "Commander," his tactical officer reported, "they are moving into standard attack formation. They believe they have the advantage." Sung-Ho smiled. It was not a kind smile. "Let them believe that. Signal all ships. Execute attack pattern Fury." The human fleet split into dozens of smaller groups. They did not charge forward like the expected. Instead, they circled around, moving with a coordination that seemed almost impossible. Each group knew exactly where to go and what to do. They had never seen anything like it. "What are they doing?" demanded. "Why are they not attacking directly?" Before anyone could answer, the first human weapons fired. They were not aimed at ships. They were aimed at the space stations that controlled Prime's defense network. 5 stations exploded in the first minute of battle, 10 more in the second minute. Suddenly, the great fortress had no shields, no sensor network, no coordinated defense. "Impossible," whispered. They knew exactly where to strike, how. Pilot Officer Me led her fighter squadron through the chaos of battle. She was small and quick, with sharp eyes and faster reflexes. In her pocket, she carried a photograph of her family. They had lived on Nu. They had died when the fire fell from the sky. "Stay in formation," she ordered her pilots. "We have specific targets. Do not waste ammunition on anything else." Her squadron dove toward the flagship. Their small fighters were hard to track and even harder to hit. They slipped past defensive fire like shadows in the night. "Commander Sung-ho," Mi reported, "we have visual on the flagship, requesting permission to engage." "Permission granted, make them pay." Mi's fighters launched their missiles. They were a new design, built specifically for this war. They did not just explode on contact. They drilled through armor and detonated inside the ship, where they could do the most damage. The flagship shuddered as explosions tore through its interior. Lights flickered. Systems failed. High Arbiter grabbed onto his command chair as the deck tilted beneath him. "Get us out of here," he ordered. "Full retreat." But there was nowhere to retreat to. Human ships were everywhere. They had surrounded Prime without the even realizing it. Every escape route was blocked. Commander Sung-ho watched the fleet fall apart. Ships that tried to run were destroyed. Ships that tried to fight were overwhelmed. The battle was not even close. "Open a channel to the flagship," Sung-ho ordered. The face of High Arbiter appeared on screen. His skin was now pale with fear. His 4 eyes were wide with disbelief. "Human," he said, "what is the meaning of this? You cannot win. The Dominion has thousands of ships. This attack is suicide." Sung-ho looked at him calmly. Nu had 2.3 million souls, families, children, innocent people who had never done anything to you. You burned them all. "Said nothing." "We are going to take 10 times that number," Sung-ho continued. "And that is just the beginning. This is not an attack. This is a message. The Dominion chose to make war on humanity. Now humanity is bringing that war to you." The channel closed. Sung-ho turned to his tactical officer. "Finish this." The Battle of Prime lasted 6 hours. When it ended, all 300 warships had been destroyed. The great fortress, the pride of the border defense, was nothing but wreckage floating in space. Human losses were minimal: 23 ships damaged, 7 destroyed, less than 1,000 casualties. The news spread across the galaxy within hours. No one could believe it. Though one of the most powerful empires in known space had just suffered their worst military defeat in 500 years, and they had lost to humans. The same humans they had called weeds. The same humans they had tried to scare into submission. Elder of the Collective received the news in his private chamber. He sat down heavily, his old bones suddenly feeling their age. "They were not broken," he said quietly to himself. "They were preparing, all that silence, all that time. They were building an army." He thought about the resource movements he had noticed, the metals, the rare elements, the components. Now he understood where it had all gone. "What have the awakened?" he whispered. On the Supreme Hierarch received the news with a mixture of rage and fear. He had expected the humans to submit. He had expected them to learn their place. He had not expected this. "How?" he demanded. "How did they build a fleet without us knowing? How did they develop weapons that could break Prime?" His advisors had no answers. They had been so certain that the humans were defeated. They had been so confident in their superiority. They had been wrong about everything. "Send more fleets to the border," ordered. "Double our defenses, triple them, whatever it takes. The humans cannot be allowed to advance further." But even as he gave the orders, he knew it might not be enough. The humans had changed. 3 months ago, they had been peaceful farmers and traders. Now they were something else entirely, something dangerous, something that they had created with their own actions. Commander Sung-ho stood on his bridge and looked at the wreckage of Prime. He felt no joy, no satisfaction, only a cold, heavy determination. Pilot Officer Mi joined him. She pulled the photograph from her pocket and looked at it for a long moment. Her mother, her father, her little brother, all gone now. All ash floating in the poisoned atmosphere of Nu. "Do you think they felt fear?" she asked quietly. "Before the end, do you think they knew what was happening?" Sung-ho did not answer for a moment. Then he said, "I think about that every day. I think about all of them, what they felt, what they hoped, what they dreamed. And now we make sure it never happens again. Not to another human colony. Not ever." His communication screen lit up. 3 more human fleets had appeared at other border systems. More battles were beginning. More stations were falling. The war had started, and humanity would not stop until it was finished. Mi looked at the photograph one more time. Then she put it back in her pocket and returned to her duties. She had work to do, they all did. For Nu, for the dead, for the future of humanity. The galaxy would never forget this day. The day when they learned that humans could be pushed too far. The day when they saw what happened when peaceful farmers became warriors. They had wanted to kill a threat before it grew strong. Instead, they had created the very monster they feared. Weeks after the fall of Prime, the galaxy could no longer ignore what was happening. Human fleets moved through space like fire through dry grass. 12 colonies had fallen. 20 military bases had been destroyed. The Dominion, which had stood unchallenged for 1,000 years, was breaking apart. Captain Ho now commanded a carrier group. The man who had watched Nu burn had become one of the most feared commanders in the human fleet. His ships had destroyed 3 defense stations. His name was spoken with terror in space. But today he felt something other than satisfaction. He felt doubt. His fleet had just captured a colony called Minor. The soldiers had surrendered after only 2 hours of fighting. Now, thousands of civilians huddled in shelters, waiting to learn their fate. Ho walked through the streets of the captured city. Parents held their children close. Elders sat in silence, their 4 eyes filled with fear. They looked at him like he was death itself. "Captain," said Lieutenant Park, walking beside him, "what are your orders for the population?" Ho stopped walking. He looked at a child, small and hiding behind its mother's legs. The child's eyes were wide with terror. It was shaking. He thought about Nu. He thought about the human children who had died there. He thought about revenge and justice, and all the things that had driven him these past months. Then he thought about something else. He thought about what kind of person he wanted to be when this was over. "Secure them," he said finally. "Food, water, medical care. No harm comes to civilians. Any soldier who violates this order will answer to me personally." Nodded, but she looked surprised. "Sir, after what they did to us." "I know what they did," Ho said quietly. "I watched 2 million of our people die. I carry that memory every single day. But these people did not drop those bombs. These children did not make that decision. If we slaughter civilians, we become exactly what they said we were." He turned and walked back to his shuttle. The doubt in his heart remained, but he had made his choice. On the Supreme Hierarch faced a crisis unlike any in his people's history. His advisors brought reports that grew worse every day. Human fleets were advancing on 3 fronts. Ships were being destroyed faster than they could be replaced. Morale was collapsing. "How did this happen?" demanded. "We were supposed to eliminate them. We were supposed to make them afraid." His chief advisor, an old female named, spoke carefully. Supreme One, we made a mistake. We believed humans would react like other species. We believed they would submit when faced with overwhelming force. We were wrong. Then what do we do now? We sue for peace. We offer full surrender before they reach the... Stared at her in disbelief. Surrender to those insects. Never. We will fight to the last if we must. Shook her head slowly. If we do that, Supreme One, there will be no left. These humans are not just winning battles. They are erasing our military capability. If we continue this war, we will be destroyed completely. The chamber fell silent, sat heavily on his throne. For the first time in his long life, he felt truly afraid. At the Galactic Council, the mood was chaos. Species that had been silent during the new massacre now demanded action. Some wanted to help others wanted to stay far away from the war. Everyone was afraid of what would happen when humanity finished with the... Ambassador entered the chamber. She walked to her seat with the same calm expression she always wore. But this time, when she sat down, she did not remain silent. The human delegation wishes to address the council, she announced. Every representative stopped talking. Every eye turned to her. Stood slowly. She looked around the chamber, meeting the gaze of each species representative one by one. 3 months ago, I sat in this room and listened to the representative call my people weeds. I listened to him justify the murder of 2.3 million innocent men, women, and children. I listened to this council say nothing, do nothing. She paused, letting her words sink in. Now some of you are afraid. You watch our fleets advance and you wonder, will they stop with will they come for us next? What kind of monsters have we allowed to be created? The chamber was utterly silent. I will tell you what we are, continued. We are a species that wanted peace. We built farms instead of weapons. We raised children instead of armies. We reached out to the galaxy with open hands, and those hands were slapped away. Our people were burned alive, and this council called it necessary pest control. Her voice grew harder. You made us into this, all of you, with your silence, with your acceptance, with your willingness to let millions die because we were not powerful enough to matter. Now you see what humans become when we are pushed too far. Elder rose from his seat. Ambassador, what are your intentions? Where does this end? Looked at him. We demand justice. The leadership will face trial for the genocide at New. Their military will be dismantled. Their empire will pay reparations. We will accept nothing less. And if they refuse, then we will continue until they have no choice. After the council session, Elder requested a private meeting with. They met in a small room away from the chaos of the main chamber. Ambassador said carefully, I must ask you something, and I need you to answer honestly. Ask. Will you destroy them completely? Will you commit genocide in return for genocide? Was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, there are those among us who want exactly that. General No would burn there and feel no regret. Many of our people have lost too much to show mercy. And you? I think about it every day. I think about how easy it would be. We have the power now. We could erase them from existence. No one could stop us. But looked out the window at the stars. But then we would be exactly what they called us. Weeds that grew out of control. Monsters that destroy without thought. Is that what we want to become? Is that the legacy we want to leave? What do you believe the answer should be? I believe we must be better than them. Not because they deserve mercy, but because we deserve to look at ourselves and still see humans. Still see the farmers and teachers and dreamers we used to be. Nodded slowly. Then there is hope, but you must convince your own people of this. That may be harder than any battle you have fought. Back on the flagship, Admiral Sun received reports from all fronts. The war was nearly won. Resistance was crumbling. There would be within reach in a matter of days. General No contacted him from the command center on Earth. Admiral, our forces are in position for the final assault. We can end this within the week. End it how, General? Completely, permanently. We have Project Hammer ready, one device in their sun, and the problem is solved forever. Was silent for a long moment. Then he said, "Is that what we want to be? A species that destroys suns, a species that wipes out entire civilizations. It is what they tried to do to us." Yes, and that is why I hated them. That is why I swore revenge. But revenge and justice are not the same thing, General. If we destroy them completely, we become the threat that every species in this galaxy will fear. We become the next. No's face hardened, so we let them survive after what they did. We make them pay. We make them answer for their crimes. We make sure they can never threaten anyone again, but we do not become them. The communication ended, sat alone on his bridge looking at the stars. Tomorrow, the fleet would reach Prime. Tomorrow, humanity would face the choice that would define them for generations to come. They had proven they could be monsters. Now they had to decide if they would choose to be something else. The galaxy watched and waited. Prime hung in space like a pale jewel. It was a beautiful world in its own way, with silver oceans and cities that stretched across entire continents. 15 billion lived there. It was the heart of their civilization, the center of everything they had built over thousands of years. Now, 4,000 human warships surrounded it. Admiral Sun stood on the bridge of his flagship and looked at the planet below. One command from him and all of it would be destroyed. The cities, the people, the entire species. Humanity had the power to end the forever. "Admiral," his communications officer reported, "they are requesting contact. Supreme Hierarch wishes to speak with you." "Put him through." The face of appeared on screen. He looked old, tired, broken. His skin was pale and his 4 eyes had lost their arrogance. He was no longer the proud leader who had ordered the death of millions. He was a defeated old man waiting for judgment. Human Admiral said, "I come to offer the unconditional surrender of the Dominion. Our fleets are destroyed. Our defenses are gone. We are at your mercy." Studied him for a long moment. "Do you understand what you did? Do you truly understand? I ordered the destruction of your colony. I killed your people. I believed it was necessary to protect my own kind. 2.3 million innocent lives. Families, children, people who had never threatened anyone. You burned them all." Lowered his gaze. "Yes. Many of my people want me to do the same to you. They want me to give the order and watch your world burn the same way Nu burned. They say it would be justice." "And will you?" Did not answer immediately. Instead, he opened a channel to his entire fleet. "All ships, this is Admiral, hold your positions. Do not fire unless fired upon." He closed the channel and looked at again. "I am going to send someone to meet with you. Ambassador, you will negotiate with her, and you will accept whatever terms she offers because the alternative is extinction." The transmission ended. Captain Ho watched from his carrier as a small shuttle descended toward Prime. Ambassador was aboard, along with a small security team. She was going to face the leader of the species that had murdered millions of humans, and she was going alone. "Captain," Lieutenant said, "do you think she will demand their destruction?" Ho shook his head slowly. "No, I have seen enough of Ambassador to know that she wants justice, not revenge, but I do not know if our people will accept anything less than complete destruction." "And you, what do you want?" Ho thought about Nu. He thought about the fire falling from the sky. He thought about the millions of voices that had gone silent in a single terrible day. Then he thought about the child he had seen on Minor, the small figure hiding behind its mother, shaking with fear. "I want to stop being angry," he said quietly. "I want to remember what it felt like to look at the stars and see beauty instead of targets. I want to go home and not feel like a monster." Ambassador landed on Prime and was escorted to the hierarch's palace. The streets were empty. The people had been ordered to stay in their homes, but she could feel them watching from behind windows and through security feeds. 15 billion beings, waiting to learn if they would live or die. Supreme Hierarch met her in his throne room. He stood alone, without guards or advisors. His surrender was complete. "Ambassador," he said, "I expected Admiral. The Admiral has given me authority to negotiate on behalf of humanity." "Then negotiate. Tell me what you want and I will agree. I have no choice." Walked closer to him. She was tall for a human but still towered over her. Yet somehow she seemed like the larger presence in the room. "You tried to destroy us," she said. "You called us weeds. You burned our people like they were nothing. You believed you were removing a threat." "Yes." "Were you wrong?" Was silent for a moment. Then he said, "I thought humans were dangerous because you grow so fast. You spread so quickly. I thought if we did not stop you, you would eventually become a threat to everyone. I believed I was protecting the galaxy. And now I know that I created the very threat I feared. I turned peaceful farmers into warriors. I made you dangerous. The blood of my people is on my hands as much as yours." Nodded slowly. "Here are our terms. Your military will be completely dismantled. Your leaders will face trial for war crimes. You will pay reparations to the families of Nu. Your expansion will be limited and monitored. You will live under observation for 100 years." Listened without interruption. When she finished, he asked, "And our people, our world, will they survive?" "Yes." "Why?" The question seemed to escape him before he could stop it. "You have the power to destroy us. After what we did, no one would blame you. Why are you showing mercy?" Looked at him with steady eyes. "Because we are not you. Because we refuse to become the thing you feared. Because somewhere in the ashes of Nu, there are 2.3 million souls who deserved better than to be remembered as the reason for another genocide." She stepped closer, her voice dropping to something almost gentle. "We could destroy you. We have proven that. We could erase your species from existence and call it justice. But that is not who we want to be. We were farmers and artists and dreamers before you attacked us. We will be those things again. The monster you awaken will go back to sleep because we choose to put it to sleep. That is the difference between us." Stared at her for a long moment. Then slowly he lowered himself to his knees. "I accept your terms, all of them, and I am sorry for what it is worth. I am sorry for what we did. Your apology does not bring back the dead, but it is a start." 1 hour later, Admiral addressed the entire galaxy. His message was broadcast to every world, every station, every ship in known space. "People of the galaxy, today the war between humanity and the Dominion has ended. They have surrendered unconditionally. They will face justice for their crimes." He paused, and when he continued, his voice was different, softer, more human. 6 months ago, we were farmers, teachers, scientists. We built things instead of destroying them. We raised families instead of armies. We wanted nothing more than to live in peace with our neighbors. Then 2.3 million of our people were murdered. We were told to accept it, to learn our place, to be grateful that we were allowed to survive at all. We did not accept it. We could not accept it. We became warriors because we had no other choice. We became the monsters they feared because they gave us no other option. But today we make a choice. We choose to stop. We choose to be something other than monsters. We have proven that we can destroy anyone who threatens us. Now we prove that we do not have to. You will rebuild under our watch. You will answer for your crimes, but you will survive, because mercy is not weakness. Mercy is strength. It is the strength to be better than those who hurt us. To the rest of the galaxy, remember this day. Remember that humanity can be pushed too far. Remember that we are capable of terrible things when we must be. But also remember that we choose every day not to be terrible. We choose peace over war. We choose justice over revenge. We choose to be humans. Do not make us choose differently." The broadcast ended. Across the galaxy, billions of beings sat in silence, absorbing what they had witnessed. Captain Ho returned to Nu 3 months later. The planet was still. The forests were still black. The oceans were still poisoned. But small teams of workers had begun the long process of healing the land. He walked to the memorial that had been built at the site of the old capital city. 2.3 million names were carved into the walls. He found the names of his friends, his neighbors, the people he had known and loved. He placed flowers at the base of the wall and stood in silence. Lieutenant found him there an hour later. "Captain, are you all right?" Ho did not turn around. "I made a promise to myself when I watched them die. I promised that I would make the pay, that I would burn their worlds the way they burned ours. And now I am glad that I did not keep that promise. I am glad that we found another way." He finally turned to look at her. "We remembered them, we honored them, and we stayed human." Nodded slowly. "What happens now?" Ho looked up at the sky. Somewhere up there, human ships still patrolled the old borders. Somewhere up there, the galaxy watched humanity with a mixture of fear and respect. "Now we rebuild," he said. "Now we plant new forests and clean the oceans. Now we raise children who will never know war. Now we become farmers and teachers and dreamers again." He touched the wall one last time, feeling the names beneath his fingers. That is what they would have wanted. That is the best way to remember them. He turned and walked away from the memorial, toward the future. Behind him, 2.3 million names stood silent witness to what humanity had lost, and what humanity had chosen not to become.